Be seeing me live right now. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm trying to see here. Sorry guys, it's gonna take me a minute just because yesterday I did a live stream and none of the sound came through. So I was very disappointed. So I'm kind of double checking stuff today before I you know what I mean? And it looks like you guys can hear me okay. All right. I just brought it up on my laptop so I can see at the same time. I don't know what it was the other day, if my sound was down too far on my phone or what, but I used, the same equipment for streaming on my other YouTube channel as I normally do for this one. So I was really surprised that no sound came through. So that was like a whole half hour's worth of music and singing and playing my guitar that didn't record. So there are some cons to live streaming, especially if you don't have a sound check beforehand, versus just doing a video and uploading it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I thought I would go ahead and just do a short reading here at lunchtime, okay? So happy Monday to you. Hopefully everybody had a nice Christmas and you have some nice plans for New Year's, okay? It is cold where I'm at today, but the sun has finally reappeared. That's how it is where I'm at during the wintertime. You get a sunny day, you're just like, and you don't even care that it's like 0 degrees outside because it's like the sun. The sun, it came back. Yeah, so the sun showed up in the last reading I did, so if you missed that one, please do go out to the community tab or the live tab to see the latest uploads, okay? Looks like there's lots of travel alerts. Right now, for us, we just have cold weather. And I just dropped a whole stack of these cards here, so I will be picking those all up. Pardon me while I get that done. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't really want them to be all out of order here. Right? You're out of order. Ah. You ever hear anybody do that? Hi, Tony. Happy Monday to you as well. Please do like the video if you're in the chat today. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video, okay? But if you do want to get notified of when I'm live or when I upload a video to the channel, I believe you do have to become a subscriber. So if that's something you're interested in doing, please do that today, okay? And you will not miss anything. Somebody in the chat says they are already subbed. Thank you very much, Aberjay. Okay. Nightingale. There's the famous song by Stevie Nicks. The white-winged dove. The sound of a nightbird. Nightingale. Nightingale may be significant for you. You might, where you're at, hear birds in the evening time, okay? I think for a lot of us, hearing owls is very common, right? But sometimes we will hear the song of a bird. Maybe there is a particular song you like to hear. Maybe there's a particular song you like to sing, okay? Remember, you don't have to be a professional nothing to do nothing out here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the older I get, the more I realize some of these things because have you ever met some of the people who are actually the professionals that are getting paid, right? Especially in the medical community, right? And you're like, wow, they let you graduate medical school, huh? Interesting. Interesting. You know what I mean? That whole common sense thing. Y'all ever be accused of not having any common sense? The sea serpent here wanting to eat its own tail. Yeah, what sense does that make? Right? Circling, circling, circling. So as we go into 2026, make sure you're not getting circled by snakes and people that just want to feed off your energy and what you have going on. And they don't have nothing going on for themselves, okay? Because they could be circling and circling. Eventually what they're going to do though is they're going to, bite the hand that feeds them. They're going to cause the trouble, right? And you don't want to be in the middle of it. You really don't. Okay. So if you hear, so I feel like for some of you, this might even be significant. Like if you are in a situation and if you hear like some bird calling or you hear some, sound and you're like, I think that's a sign for me to get the hell out of Dodge. Okay. 2026 is the year to start following your instincts. Stop listening to, what your friends telling you, what your family's telling you, what the news media's telling you. Like what's the song that you have in here, right? What's the song that is so attractive that these snakes are rolling up and willing to eat their own tail, right? Just to get close to you, babe, right? Getting close to you, babe. Somebody asked, what if you hear an elephant? Well, what happens when the elephant sounds its horn, right? In the wild? Then they all take off running and they get the heck out of Dodge, don't they? Somebody in the chat asked, how do I avoid them? I'm assuming you're referring to snakes out there, right? The power of prayer, the power of positive affirmations, okay? And sometimes we can't completely avoid them, but we can identify them, right? And then it's like, yeah, I don't need to tell that person what's going on because I think they're just a snake, right? And they want to use that information. They want to, it's like, sometimes people be poking at you for information. It's like, why do you want to know? What has it to do with you? You know what I mean? There's sometimes there's a difference, in between, the care and concern and just somebody being nosy, right? I'm sorry I don't know who that is, the guiding key. Sounds like you got some plans there. I might have to cancel my Netflix. I have the basic plan, but I'm very annoyed that even though I'm paying, like $8 a month or whatever, I still have to watch the commercials. Anyway. Yeah, water snake. Water snakes can be very dangerous as well. Look at this. The golden egg. You guys, I knew this deck had this in here, one of these egg cards, and I was just thinking about that even before the reading, so I'm kind of happy that this came out. So it might be one of those things where you're laying the golden goose, and people can kind of sense it, right? And it's like they want to get a peek, want to get a peek at that. Like can I get a preview? Like, what are you working? Like when you're in school and somebody looks over at your paper and they're like, well, what's yours look like? And then, right? And in the meantime, you're not worried about those folks. You're just carrying out your assignment, right? Okay. It also has some triangles here. So sacred geometry might be significant for somebody as well. I also saw this video the other day of a lady. Now she was using a raw egg, like in the shell, of course, but a raw egg, not a hard boiled egg. And she was using it to like rub on her face in her areas to like help the lymphatic. Now, obviously, there's other things that you can do. You can go to my Feeling Better channel, my Feel Better Guru channel on YouTube, and I have some exercises. Somebody says, what if you hear a bird but there's no words? Well, I mean, yeah, birds don't really speak English. They speak their bird language. Rabbit. Okay. Rabbits move fairly quickly. They also are good with their senses, right? If you spy a rabbit in your yard, right, what do? You don't just run up on the rabbit. You gotta be quiet. You gotta like sneak up, right? Okay. But think, what would Bugs Bunny do in that situation? Bugs Bunny ain't gonna sit there and wait on somebody to be sneaking up on him, right? Because Bugs Bunny knows what a sneak snake will do. So yeah, here comes Bugs Bunny on the ship, right? Battling the sea snake like Captain Nemo, right? Okay. Because Bugs Bunny's got that, always. Bugs always has that idea, right? So, especially for a lot of you, if you felt like you were maybe kind of chasing your tail, going down rabbit holes, not really finding what you wanted, right? Just realize that sometimes those little goose chases that we're on, right, might be orchestrated to protect you from people that want what you have. Okay. So again, as we go into 2026, leave those chaos monsters behind. Yeah, somebody says, what if you hear a bird, but there is no bird? I would just leave. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things. You don't necessarily have to see something to hear it, right? To know that it exists. Okay. Okay, let's see what else here. Oh, the Phoenix. Oh, look at that. Now that is something powerful going into 2026. Okay. So, for a lot of you that are receiving this message today, I feel like as long as you pay attention to those signs, okay, don't give up on what you're working on, right? And you might be like, oh, man, I'm scurrying around, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, okay. The time is going to come where it's just like going to take off, right? And it's going to be like, oh, this is kind of cool, right? Especially if you have gone through some bumps and bruises, right? You're going to look around and say, yeah, this is kind of cool. Yeah, this sure beats that, stuff like that. Okay. I am going to pull a few other cards from this deck, the one that my dog partially chewed up. So my apologies. I don't have every single card from this oracle deck, but it is a very cool little deck and nature themed. So I do like to use it, and I really do enjoy the illustrations as well. Okay. Again, if you're somebody who looks forward to spring, you might be already thinking, in 2026, what are you going to be planting? What are you going to start, your seedlings? Things like that. Okay. my goodness. My apologies, guys. I think I have a touch of that feeling of that. Anyway. Rain, cleansing, purification, hydration. Okay. So again, letting the rain wash you clean. So the very first card I pulled out was Nightingale. So this also may be significant musically for somebody. There's also, what is that song? Listen to the rhythm of the pouring rain, telling me just what a fool I've been. Okay. Where the rain says, hey. I know sometimes, you know, the tears are going to fall. The rain must fall, right? In order for those seeds to get that growth, in order for the ground to be nurtured. Okay. All right. So, like as they say, you know, it all comes out in the wash. Okay. All right. Put this here. Sorry, I'm like. Roots, healthy patterns, early growth. Okay. So, as you're watering, right, you're letting that rain fall. What is it watering? What is going to start to be rooted for you? Hey. I'm in the middle of something over here. Do you mind? Where I live, sometimes we have a little, you know, traffic on the streets. So he's just not used to all the comings and goings. And of course, you know, when it's the holidays, you have all sorts of, you know, strange cars and different folks coming and going. So he's just Johnny on the spot, let me tell you. So again, healthy patterns. So for 2026, you know, what are the patterns that are going to allow you to soar, that are going to allow you to fly, that are going to allow you to stop scurrying around like the rabbit, and also that type of, you know, a rabbit in real life kind of has that fight or flight, right? Where it's like or freeze, right? Freeze or flight, right? Where it's just like they just freeze up. Okay. So if you've ever had that collective happen with you in the past, freezing up, things of that nature, that's not going to be happening in 2026 for you. You're thawing out. You're thawing out. Okay. And it may literally be the power of the sun that does it. Okay. Tend, maintenance, encouragement, guidance. Look at this. All this gardening stuff. You got the little spade, the little garden hoe. Okay. Maintenance. Yeah. So, you know, some people can be like, oh, this is so much work. This is so much work. Well, if you don't want to do that work now, if you don't want to do the maintenance now, right? What happens? You don't want to wash and wax your car for 3 years. Don't be surprised when it turns into a rust bucket if you don't want to do the maintenance on it. Same happens with your body, right? You know, so something to think about for 2026 if you've never thought about it. So for some of you, when you're hearing those messages of, you know, maybe you need to get out of Dodge, maybe it's one of those things where maybe the people you're around imbibe more than you would like to. You know, anything that's considered a, you know, toxic behavior. Maybe, you know, overeating. smoking too much. Maybe it's, using foul language too much. Those kind of things, which, we have the Lenten season coming up later in the spring, right? After Mardi Gras. Um, so those are kind of things where you might be thinking about, yeah, I can express myself without putting out a 4-letter word every other word. Doesn't mean I don't know how, right? It reminds me of that movie. You guys ever see the movie, oh my God. I don't think it's House Sitter, but it's the other one with Steve Martin and Queen Latifah. And she plays somebody who's wrongfully accused, and he's like a lawyer, and he ends up helping her. But she, like, kind of, she has her, regular when she's out and about in her old neighborhood voice, right? And then she has her, thank you for calling the law offices of such and such and such and such. How may I serve you today? Right? It's kind of one of those things where people didn't think you could do that. And you're like, really? Because it's not that, like, hard, type of thing. Okay? Oh my gosh. I'm glad I am laughing through this reading, and because that is the kind of where you might just kind of be tickled, where these people be like eating their own tail, just discovering this, and part of it is that's what you've been curating for yourself, and it's just like, you don't know how to do that? Like, didn't you go to school? Like, you don't know how to write an address on a fucking envelope? Oh, pardon my French. Sometimes it just slips out. But I'm over here on my channel where it's my business. And I guess if you don't like the channel, you're free to change the channel. Right? And that's the same in life. Don't get stuck on stupid. Don't get stuck watching somebody else's shit show just because everybody else is watching it. When you're driving down the highway, then everybody else gets in the wreck because they're looking at the wreck. Stop looking at the wreck. Start thinking about where you're going. Or are you going to be in the wreck like they are? Is it making sense? Is it making sense? I hope so. I really hope so. Because some folks don't want to learn that. And they will never learn that. But if you're watching them, what are you going to learn? Okay? This reminds me of a story a very, very long time ago that one of my relatives told me about one of the, and I have a lot of respect for teachers. My one relative was going to school, and they were talking to their parents, saying, "Oh, they're such a good student. They're so smart," and it's like, I can leave the room and they can teach the lesson for me. And my relative was like, "Well, what are you teaching them? Like, that's great that they can teach the rest of the class and do your job for you, but like, what are you, as the teacher, teaching that student?" Again, it's stop looking at the train wreck over here, right? These distractions, and start thinking about the road that you're on, right? Okay. Hearth or hearth. Okay. Says here, safety, comfort, and spiritual connection. Okay. They say home is where the heart is as well. Some people like to live a little different kind of lifestyle. That's okay for them. Again, that's not what you have to do, right? This here, it's saying focusing on safety, comfort, spiritual connection. I mean, that seems very much, we're in Capricorn season now, right? So safety and comfort, I would say very big on Capricorn's checklist, right? I don't want the scratchy sheets. I'll spend the extra few dollars, right? And get the 500 or the 600, 800 thread count, right? Because that's what I'm going to be sleeping in every day, right? Okay. Whereas, that outfit to wear out for New Year's Eve celebration or whatever, that's a one and done. Sure, you might get some photographs, blah, blah, but are you going to wear that again? Thinking in practical terms, okay? Harvest, determination, hard work, okay? So again, as we approach into 2026, you already know what you've been able to harvest from 2025. How do you want your harvest to look in 2026? Are you going to be planting the same seeds? Are you going to be doing the same things? Right? I know somebody that, I think it was a couple years ago, they just decided, they were ready to lose some weight and they just went and did it. They went to the gym and they did the dieting and the. You know what I mean? They planted those seeds for a healthy tomorrow. All right. That's also a very popular thing for folks to do, right? That's also, preventative maintenance, right? Uh, you know, did you go to the doctor this year? Did you get your numbers checked? Right? What would they say about your diet and your lifestyle habits? Are they saying you're maintaining for a long and healthy life, or are they saying your maintenance schedule is a little out of whack and you're gonna have rust on you in a year or two if you don't watch it? You know, you can see the bend in this card a little bit. This must be one of the ones that the dog kind of got to. He's like, I don't care. So as those roots start turning over, okay, remember to give them the things they need. The sun, the water, the rest, the good dirt, right? Not the bad dirt, right? Maybe in 2026 you're gonna start going to therapy, right? And it's like, oh, I gotta tell somebody all my secrets and okay. Well, you know what you're doing there. You're taking some of that stuff that other people might be considered bad, and you're turning the soil over, okay, and you're turning it into good dirt. All right, we are right at 30 minutes. So I think I'm going to go ahead and close out of this reading. Okay. This is kind of cool. This moss agate here. It's positivity and change. Yeah. So as you close out and wrap up 2025, right? Sometimes it's bittersweet, but what we have to look forward to can be really cool as well. Okay. So I would like you to keep that message with you as you move forward. Okay. Because especially as you do close out cycles, sometimes you're like, man, now I don't know what I'm gonna do now. And it's just because there's a void of an old pattern, an old habit, right? And we have choices every day to fill our time with new habits. in new choices, new opportunities. Okay. Just as I have an opportunity to get some online work done this afternoon after this reading. So that's what I will most likely be doing for the rest of the day. As it is bitterly cold outside. So what a privilege it is to have some work to do inside. So definitely take that with you into 2026, okay? Because as you go forward and face the day, all right, you're going to start feeling that sun. You're going to start feeling that light. And it's going to fuel you in that positive direction, okay? So, let that be a part of your positive affirmation. Let that be a part of your prayer, okay? Okay. All right, well, that's all I have for today. So please do, again, remember to like the video, especially if you're in the chat today. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber to like the video, but it does help pass messages around, and it keeps you notified whenever I do go live or do an upload if you are needing a little spiritual guidance, as we all do. Okay, regardless of your specific religious beliefs. Okay, that's why when we go out there, it doesn't matter if the person behind the counter celebrates Christmas or not, us just wishing them a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holidays. It's bestowing blessings upon people that we are very easily able to do. It's like some of the easiest things in the world to do. Right? I think that's the reminder that, life doesn't have to be difficult. Sometimes it can be very easy if we allow it to be. Right? Okay. All right, guys. Until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye-bye. And if I don't see you again until 2026, be very safe out there, ringing in the new year. Okay. Bye-bye.